All right. So now we're going to start Ois Beis.
Okay.
Ois Beis. V'hinei mebeis b'chinas kala hanal. From the two levels of kala that we spoke about earlier. The Alter Rebbe before said that the word kala, we talk about chos and kala, we talk about Shir Hashirim, which is the relationship of a chos and kala. The Alter Rebbe said there is two explanation of the word kala. Either kala means like you have sort of expired, loshen kol so nafshi, or it's still, which would be the level of bittul b'metzias, total subjugation to Hashem, or which is the level of Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, or the level of Kala, which is still in the process of yearning to Hashem. So he says that Vihine Mibeis Bechinas Kala Hanal, from these two levels of Kala. Kala is basically the Yid yearning to Hashem. When you bring the Isaruso Diletato, Nimshach Liyois Beis B'chinas Chasonim. You bring down two levels of Chason, two levels of Kala, initiate and bring down two levels of Chason. What is the meaning of Chason? B'chinas Chus Dargo. The word Chason means lowering of the level. Chus. The Gemara says that Chason means Nechois Dargo, Chois Dargo, Unesiv Itza. Lower your level and marry a wife. So Chus comes from the Lashon Chason, comes the Lashon of lowering. Basically, when a Yid stands in a way of a Kala to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that you're standing with a yearning, with a bittul to Hashem, you bring down Chus, you bring down the Chason, meaning you bring down the level of Hashem into the Yid, who is the Kala, into Knesset Yisrael, you bring the Chason down. And basically he's going to say that you bring down Hashem through the Torah, inside, into the world, bring down through the Torah. V'zehu, and this is the meaning of Koil, Mitzhalois Chasonim Mechuposo. So you have the languages here. The pasuk says the voice of the rejoicing of chasonim. The chasonim is a plural mechuposo. Chasonim trei mashma. Chasonim means two, a plural, two chos. Because we're trying to explain over here that just like we have two kalas, we also have two chos. So Inyan Yuvon will understand this idea. The Mamer, we say in the davening. We say Melech Meshubach u'Mefoyor Adi Ad Shmoi Hagodol. The king who is praised, he's beautified to no end is his great name. As we say that in the davening, in the Birchat Shachar, in the morning davening. Psukkah de Zimra. So l'chayre, in a move on, l'chayre, it's not understand. Mahu Shem Godel v'Kotten. He says, Meshubach u'Mefoyor, your big name. What is the Hashem's big name, and what is Hashem's small name? What are we saying about the big name? The Alter Rebbe will explain that the Ein Sof higher than his Shtalshlus. When we talk, that's called the Shem Hagodel. This is going to explain. Further, also we need to understand this, that our sages of blessed memory said, that before Hashem created the world, there was no world, but yet there was him, Hashem, and his name. Only his name. Hashem and his name were there. What is the meaning when we say that before there was a world, there was Hashem and his name? Eich shayir b'chinas shem actually nivra ha'olam. If we're going to interpret just a name of Hashem, Hashem's name, how could we say that there is a name before the world was created? Sha'adayin lo hoya mi sheikre'enu b'shmoi. There was nobody there to call Hashem in His name. What kind of a name is there if nobody can call you? The only reason we humans, we understand somebody has a name, so you can call him. So you say his name. So then he comes to you. But if there was nobody there, what does it mean that Hashem has a name? So Yuvan al pi ma shenoida. And this will be understood based what it's known. Shashem Yisborich Nikra b'Gemara u'b'Medrashim b'Shem HaKodesh Baruch Hu. The name we call Hashem is HaKodesh Baruch Hu. That's the chosen name we talk about Hashem. The meaning, why do we choose when we talk about Hashem to call him HaKodesh Baruch Hu? Kodesh means that he is removed, he is holy, he is separate from us. Kodesh, the one who is Kodesh. Why do we call Hashem Kodesh? Shabacharu b'shem zeh, v'loi b'shem eiz v'kinuyim acherim. How come they chose this name and they didn't choose other names, other descriptions of Hashem? K'moi, as for example, in the Rachum, a merciful one. Chanun, compassionate. Chanun, graces. Why? Lifi shehu moira shehu kodesh umuvdol. Because the name of HaKodesh points to the fact that the Eibishter Hashem is holy and he is separated, distinct. So we say HaKodesh ve'ein aroich hamshochos v'yislapshus oirin sof bereishis ha'ishtalshalos elo kitipa meyam ukionus. There is no comparison of what comes down and the Ein Sof that comes down into the Ishtalshlus only as a drop from the Okeanos ocean. Basically, when we're trying to say that our connection to Hashem is, when we talk about Hashem, we're trying to say that really Hashem is much higher than we are seeing Hashem, we are talking about Hashem. Hashem creates us. He creates the whole Hishtalshlus. So we're trying to tell you, don't think that this is all what Hashem is. Hashem is a Kodesh. He's holy. He's separate. He's distinct. If you said, for example, that he's called a Rachum or a Chanun, that means you understand who he is. That means that you relate. Oh, he's a Rachum, he's a Chanun. Here we chose the name of HaKodesh to say that he is holy, holier. Hashem, in his infinite holiness and greatness, comes down into this world, or comes down into the Torah. When we learn Torah and we're able to connect to Hashem and mitzvahs, but in this case we're talking about Torah, that means that the Eibishter, who is much higher, is Baruch Hu, is coming to us. We are connecting with him, but it's not like this is Hashem, because he's infinitely and much greater and higher. That's why we call him HaKadosh, the one who is holy. And this is the meaning, V'zeu Mamer Azal, this is the saying of our sages of blessed memory, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Yoshev, Ba'osek b'Torah. He sits and he occupies in Torah. If you want to say that Hashem is studying Torah, you could say HaKadosh Baruch Hu Osek b'Torah. What is it? Yoshev. When a person sits, you're standing, and you lower yourself down when you sit down. So we're trying to say that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Yoshev. He descends. He comes down from the higher level, even though he is Kodesh. He descends into Torah. Pirush. Atzmos Yizbarech Kodesh Umuvdo. His blessed essence is holy and distinct. He's separate. Elo sheyoyshev umashpil es atzmoi, but he sits and he lowers himself. Liyos mislabish b'Torah, to dress up in Torah. To Odom hayoyshev shemashpil kamoseh, similar to a person who sits, who lowers his height. Hashem, so to speak, lowers his height. He is kodesh to Yoshev, to this, to come into Torah. V'ha'ore zu nikra b'chinas shem. That ha'ore that comes down when he sits down, when he lowers, that's called, that what we call a shame. What do we mean when we say his name? We're saying his name, and it's not him. Just like a person has him, and then you have his name. His name is just the way you call him. So when we want to say, when we want to describe the light of Hashem which comes down in Torah, the light of Hashem that comes down into the world, we're saying that is the level of shame, which means she'enoi elo ziv v'ha'ora. It's only a ray and a shine. It is something external, not he himself. That is the meaning when we talk about a shame. He's going to explain, this is the Shmoy HaGodel, the ha'oreh from the Shem. He explains now in the parentheses. The inyan koidem shenivra ha'olam hoyahu shmoy bilvad. He quoted before that before the world was created, it was him and his name. What does it mean, his name? His name over there means the oir that we're talking about here is already after it's created. But the potential for creation, the potential for revelation, that is called the name. The name, before he actually comes in the level of a ha'oreh, but the potential to create. Let me see what he explains. Hainu hamokor v'hashoyres v'hayicholos sheyesh ba'ein sobaruch. That's the source, the root, and the ability that there is in the Ein Sof Baruch Hu. Sheyuchal liyos gilui b'chinas ziv ha'oreh. The fact that there could be a revelation in ziv ha'oreh. So the ziv ha'oreh is shmoy, but then you have the potential shmoy hagodl, the potential that there should be the ziv ha'oreh. Sheyiyeh mimeno hishavus oilumis, such as ziv, that from it will be hishavus oilumis. Sheyala b'chefzer ritzonah, that will go up in his desire and want. So the fact that there is that potential for the wishes of the world to bring the oir, that is called the shemoi that was there bilvad. Ukemoi, as for example, ziv hashemesh hakol b'moir shu hashemesh atzmo. You have the shine that comes from the sun, but before the sun shines, that shine is included in the sun. That potential for the shine, that's called the Shmoy HaGodel. That's the Shmoy that's in there. Elo, but there's a difference. In the way it's in the Nimshal, but the way it's by Hashem, that potential is in a much infinitely greater level. Infinite. Why? Sharei Hashemesh Me'ira Haziv Shalei B'Tavosa. The shine, the ray from the sun, it's not that the sun chooses to shine. It goes without its consent. It doesn't. It's not lebitavosa. It doesn't have to say yes. I want this, but there is a natural. The Eibishter said there's a sun, and the sun shines. Mas'ein came lemailo. Ma'am shochas v'gilu haziv al derech moshul. Over there, above, when we talk about when the ray, the shame that creates the oil, later on when Hashem wanted to create the world, so over there before that in Cain, Haziv Hakolul Boy. So then the ray that is included in him, Hainu Ma Sheyesh B'Yicholos Boy Yizborich Lahorir B'Chinas Ziva Orazu. That is that he has the ability to shine in such a level of a ray and a shine. Asher Yicholos V'Koyach Zeh Nikra Shemay. So that potential, that ability is called the Shemay. The ability to go ahead and bring about that ziv is called the Shemay. So, Masher Kosuv Koyach Adnai. So that's the power of Adnai. So you talk about your power, the power of Adnai, your great power. What does it mean, your power? Your potential, the ability to bring it out. Bahainu, and that is because the creation doesn't come directly from Atzmus, which would not allow for this world to be. It comes from that potential, comes from the koyach, it comes from the oil. Because Hashem Mehusin Etzem is not in the limitations of a flow and bring down a roh hamshacha. And therefore, and that's why the power and the source of the hamshacha is called his name. As written elsewhere in Pirush, we say ki imcha mekor chayim. The source of life, it doesn't say ki ato mekor chayim. You are the mekor chayim. We say ki imcha with you, because why does it say ki imcha mekor chayim? Shegam bechinas mekor chayim hu nikra imcha. Even when we talk about the source of life, not only life in actuality, but the source of life is also imcha. It's with you. When we say with you, that's secondary. It's unimportant. And therefore, we see that the essence of Hashem is bichlal, not together of Hashpah. And that's why we call it Shmoy. It's a name. It's a name. It's not he himself. That's why we call it that potential. We call that a name. Explain. Zeu inyan Shmoy hagodol shalamaylo min heishtalshus. So now we're going back to explain. Say Shmoy hagodol, that Shmoy hagodol, which is higher than heishtalshus, higher than this world, that potential. Shmoy hagodol hazeh is meshubach umefoyer adei ad. Then that great name is praised and beautified forever. Bebechinas ein sof. Yo, v'zeu kihu levadei yizborich yochid, and that's why he is yochid, umiyuchad. Hashem alone, he is only umiyuchad, yochid. And Chayhoi Lomim, so we're talking about Yochid is Hashem himself. He's owned by himself. Yochid Yuchad. Be'iker Chayhoi Lomim. So where does the world live from? Urak B'chinas Melech, only from the level of Malchus. Yochid is Hashem. Chei Ha'olamim is Melech. What vitalizes the world? Only the level of Melech. Ki Ishtalshlus Ha'olamos Einei Derech Ila Ve'olu. The way that the world evolved was trying to say that the world comes from the level of Malchus. Malchus Chol Malchus Ko'olam. It comes through the level of Melech. The world, the Bia, is not created directly in a way of Ishtalshlus. Ishtalshlus would mean that there is a direct connection to the Creator, that it comes down, it lowers its level. There has to be yesh me'ayin, there has to be a gap, there has to be a jump over. Ki ishtalshlus ha'olamos einei derech ila ve'olu. The way the worlds evolve is not in a way of ila ve'olu, a cause and an effect, like a chain, one link to the other one, as brought down in the Sfarim. Sheim came hoya b'chinas shinu kaviyachol, because then the cause, the Eibush, the Hashem, would have been a change. It changed because the things that are created, He's connected, and they would change. Kibe'ila v'olu yesh shinui b'ha'ila al yidei ha'ashpah. When it comes in a way of a cause and effect, a chain reaction, the upper level changes through the hashpah. So if creation came in an ilav olu, there would be a change in the creator. Say, for example, say when a teacher teaches his student, so he has to put his attention, his focus on what he's trying to explain. And his mind would not be free to look into ideas and other matters. Like his mind was free before he was giving, he can think other things. Now he has to focus on what he's trying to teach. So if the Eibishter was that way of creation, then it would be that he would be caught up. It would be a change because he would be caught up in the hashpah. But by Hashem blessed, Harei, over there we say, Ato hu koydem shenivra olam, u'mishenivra olam. The Eibishter is before and after. There's no change. Behind, and the reason is it's only from the level of Shemoi, which is the level of Malchus. And Shemoi, only the level of Shemoi alone, which is the level of Malchus. Ba'ayin oid me'inyan Shemoi HaGodl. Look about the Shemoi HaGodl, the Parsha Shlach al Posek Ani Chulu Asher Yitzchak Meretz Mitzrayim, the Parsha Pincham Dibra Maschil Tzav as Bnei Yisrael. Over there he talks about Me'inyan Shmoi is Gemati Rotzin. Rotzin is Shmoi, Ba'posik Eil Shmoi Schul. Ube'emes, and the truth of the matter is Kinizgov Shmoi Levade. That Hashem Shmoi is exalted by himself. So even when we talk about Shmoi is Levade. Ve'ein ha'amshocha me'bchinas Shmoi. So the Hamshocha from the level of Shmoi, Alidei Ilo Ve'olu, it doesn't come down in a way of an Ilo Ve'olu, cause and effect. Shim Kein Hoyakol B'chinas Ein Sof, then everything would be infinite. If it came direct on Ilo Ve'olu, Elo Shamshocha Alidei Shamshocha Alidei Tzimtzum V'Dilo. but it comes through a restriction and a jump over. It's not direct. Ad shenimshach. This is from the Kabbalah, the way the world was created. Shenimshach rak b'chinas kav v'chud memalchus the Ein Sof. There's only sort of a line and a string from the Malchus the Ein Sof, from the Shmoy HaGodel that comes down. That's a tzimtzum. V'oid kama tzimtzumim v'halom esei mispar, and also many more restrictions and unlimited amount of obscurities in order from Shmoy HaGodel to create the world. Ayin b'sefer shel beinim chelik beis perik tes ba'agoya. And once that jump over takes place, then there can be the chain, the evolution of Iluv Olu, Inyan Sevuklam, Malklam, that fills and surrounds the world. So this is bringing down from the level of the Ein Sof to bring down through a way of a jump. So we know already what the Shmoy HaGodel is. The Shmoy HaGodel that is higher than Hishtalshelus, and that comes in a way of a jump, and that comes down into the level of Torah. Yoshev Eisik b'Torah, we said. This dressing up in the Hamshacha b'Shmoy HaGodel, Lislabish b'Torah, to dress up in Torah, to be in the level of Yosef V'Isuk B'Torah, B'chinas Renona De'Eraisa. That's considered the song of the Torah. The song of the Torah, there is the intellectual part of the Torah, and then there is the song of the Torah. The intellectual part of the Torah is that we can understand certain parts of the Torah. We understand the storyline, but then you have the song, like the trop. And you have the, those are already hidden, those are not revealed. We don't understand exactly what that is. That's called the Renon Derais. Keraisa mechochma nafkes. Eraisa comes out of chochma, which means it left chochma. Torah has left the level of chochma. As he says, nafkes daike. That means that it actually went out. The Torah revealed that is the revelation of Torah. But the higher supreme shine that it should dress up in Chochma Ilah, which is a level of Chakim, the level of Chochma Yidiyah. Why? But not with a known why. Those are the trop of the Torah. The Renona De'Eraisa and the song of the Torah that we're saying. That's the level of Taimei Torah, Renona De'Eraisa, which the trops are named Zarka, Makif, Shefer, Chulu. Those are the name of the trop. So basically, he's going to say that within Torah itself, you have a Raisa Mechochma Nafkes, you have the level of what comes from Torah, the words of Torah. Then you have a deeper inyan, a song of Torah, higher than Torah, which is the trop of Torah. So he says, even though it's trop, but still, a trop is the timing of the Torah, it's still, they have a certain level in which they manifest itself in the trop. Trops are just like letters. Letters, what are letters? Are letters draw down. Has no idea of when we say timim, nekudis, tagim, oisius. They have the various different. So each one draws down. But since they bring down the letters from the supreme tainuk, the trop, which is bechinas imcha mekurchaim, level with you and the higher level, which is even higher than the Chochmah law. Of course, without saying that they're higher from the level of Ois HaDibur, those come out in the Sefer Torah. The letters come mamish out in the Torah, because the letters you can read. Shehem Nimshachim in HaChochmah. The letters come from Chochmah. This comes from Tainuk, which is higher. The idea is, Va'inyan, just like we have letters that we speak, and there's letters in thought. So, which means a person thinks with letters and a person speaks with letters. But there also there's also letters which are even higher than thought, which is in your intellect. And begam and also higher than sechel. Taimim are those letters that are in the intellect, which are beyond the letters that we machshava and dibur. Also, v'tam gamkin loshen tuf tam, good taste, umsikas, and sweetness. V'hainu sheheim oisyois v'amsho. A letter means they're letters, and they draw down tainug elyon, the supreme delight, nevichinas, from the level of Shashua HaMelech Ba'atzmusei, the delight of the king by himself. You bring down higher than Chochmah, you bring down Tainim. That's Tam. The Torah says, I was Hashem's play. Hashem played with the Torah. That was the Tainug. And from the level of Tainug, it extends Lislabish, the Chochmah Ilah, to dress up in the supreme Chochmah. And that's what we get later on, the timing of the Torah. So, Ani Toiros Choshi Ashoti, your Torah I am delighted with. Aposik ve'eye etzlei amen chulu. Ve'ayin oid me'inyan renon v'taimish of the Torah. Look further by the Aposik. V'himi ketch nasayim yomim. Parshas Emer Aposik ve'henif hakoyin oisom. Ve'parsha b'zeis abrocha Aposik Torah tziva chulu. And elsewhere it's explained, by Yishurun Melech, by Yishurun, by the Yidden, there was a king. So what is the Yishurun? Yishurun is Loshen song. Yishurun is Tomegamki Loshen Shir. Like the timing, the trop, those are time, the song. The Shir, that's the animal that wears a coat. That's a circular. Kach Bahanigun. Also, the song is no seifim b'tchilosum. A song, the beginning is connected to the end. You finish the song, you go back to the beginning. It's a circle. Likewise above, they are the level of mamshech yochid. Bechinas Melech, K'maimer Baruch Ata Hashem Lekenu, Melech HaOlam, Asher Kedishonu b'mitzvayso v'tzimon. Okay, we'll leave it over here, and we'll Be'ezer Hashem, we'll mamshich tomorrow. Everybody have a good day.
Thank you.